Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, it's Limbo time. Dante's Inferno, Part 1. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Keenan. Stand in solidarity with the SAG-AFTRA strike. And folks, I am so excited because today we begin our examination of the devil in art and literature. We're still in the Middle Ages, but we're taking a little detour, or maybe a big detour, or actually, can we even call it a detour? We're literally going to hell. But not the hell which is theorized by theologians and philosophized by philosophers. No, it is a hell unique and singular, created by one man who borrowed from a lot of places and who hated a lot of people. And we get to meet them all in this very special, very twisted, wish-fulfillment, torture, fantasy fanfiction, which people still today confuse with actual scripture. Folks, I know sometimes it may not seem like it, but we are a comedy podcast.
Sometimes.
And what better comedy is there than the Divine Comedy? What better piece of literature depicts hell in such stark and terrible detail? Folks, as part of our deep dive into the devil, we are now going to dive deep into Dante's Inferno. Before we go any further, you've probably heard of the first part of Dante's Divine Comedy. It's the most famous one, simply titled Inferno, or sometimes Dante's Inferno when it's all by itself. But it's actually part of his larger work, the Divine Comedy, which is a 14th century epic poem, one of the most important works in world literature. The Divine Comedy is divided into three parts. It's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Right? Mm-hmm. So that is hell, purgatory, and heaven, right? Since we are covering the history of the devil, we here at The Exorcist Minute will only be concerning ourselves with Inferno, right? The first part of the comedy.
Yeah, someone else can make podcasts about the other ones.
Yeah, somebody else can talk about Paradiso, right? And
boring.
But yeah, and just in case folks don't know, the word comedy in the Divine Comedy has nothing to do with modern day humor, much like our show. In medieval literature, works were often classified as either comedy or tragedy. That's it. You just get one or the other, right? Mm-hmm. And unlike tragedies, which typically ended in suffering and sorrow, comedies had happy endings or happy resolutions, right? So Dante's choice of the term comedy gives us a little hint of the ultimate resolution and redemption that occurs in the third section, Paradiso, as Dante ascends to heaven and experiences divine love and enlightenment. Like I said, we're not going to be talking about that at all on the show.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So traditional comedy and tragedy. Tragedy starts with the wedding and ends with the funeral. Mm-hmm. Comedy ends with the funeral. No, wait. Let me do that all again. So theologians, 0, philosophers, 1. So, traditional comedy would start with the funeral and end with the wedding. Yes. And tragedy starts with the wedding and ends with the funeral.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There we go. Oh, one last thing. So, folks, Keenan and I are teachers. I am an English teacher. I cover stuff like this as part of my job. But please, for the love of God, do not expect this to be an intellectual, scholarly examination of Dante's work. This is not going to help you on in your English class. In fact, citing any of our stupid jokes might even lower your grade. So just be warned, right?
When I was in sophomore year of high school, I had world history, and our world history teacher told us that Scipio, who fought against Hannibal, right, that they were warriors, and Hannibal crossed the Alps with his elephants, and he crossed it on an elephant named Skippy to piss off Scipio. He named his elephant Skippy, and we learned that and we loved that. And then at the end, he was like, "No, that's a joke. We don't know the elephants' names." And we're like, "But we're gullible. We're gullible teenagers. We don't know.
It is your responsibility as a teacher to tell us truths
right
about this literature." Yeah.
It's like, of course you wouldn't know the elephant's name. That's not written down.
No. Yeah.
But Skippy the elephant versus
Skippy the elephant.
Scipio the general.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. But yeah, so folks, this is just for fun, like any good journey through hell should be. Okay. But yeah, so before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the man himself, right? The Dante Alighieri, right? I'm gonna try as hard as I can not to put some pesto on that as every time I pronounce his name.
Yeah, don't hurt your tonsils or anything.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so in 1265, Dante Alighieri was born into a prominent Florentine family. The family belonged to the Florentine Guelphs. That's Guelphs, right? So that doesn't sound appetizing at all. The Guelphs, right? Yeah. One of the two main political factions in the city during the late 13th century. The Guelphs were for the Pope and against the Holy Roman Emperor. And the Ghibellines, another unappetizing name, they were the other way around, right? So they were for the Holy Roman Emperor and against the Pope, right? Now, you might be asking, what the hell does this have to do with hell?
Yeah, what the hell does this have to do with hell?
Good question. But instead of answering it, teacher that I am, I'm going to give all of you homework.
Oh, God.
So let's keep a tally of how many Ghibellines Dante meets in hell. I'm guessing a lot. Yeah. Okay, so back to early Dante, right? So when he was like 9, he meets and falls immediately in love with a girl named Beatrice, right? Or Beatrice, right? Dante scholars might know that name. She is the subject of many of Dante's later works, including his Divine Comedy, wherein it is Beatrice up in heaven who sort of gets Dante started on his whole journey through hell, purgatory, and finally heaven. Dante was smitten with her, though they met only a handful of times growing up in Florence. She ended up marrying another man and then dying at a young age, and this broke Dante's heart. And so, of course, he's going to make her the brightest angel up in heaven in his stories. Right.
So today's young listeners might think that we should cancel Dante just based on this, right? This is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit weird, right?
Yeah. So that would be something where I'm sure today, if you did that today,
right? No, yeah.
People were like, "You are a weird dude," right?
Yeah. People in 3023. Well, no, let's go even further. In 5023, reading Lester's Divine Tragedy, right? Which is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, what would the people of 5023 think of that?
They think that's a little weird. Right?
Yeah, well, if it was well written enough, we'd go, "Oh, this is one of the classics of world literature, and not very weird at all."
Yeah.
And then another thing to point out is like in this romantic with a capital R mode,
as in like Roman like culture and everything like that.
Oh, I wasn't even saying that. I was thinking about like the later romantics with a capital R who who would see unrequited love as better than love where people actually know each other's name or care.
Yeah.
Like Petrarch wrote about Laura and he never met Laura at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, how great. Like you love with no reward. You're not getting anything out, and you're actually being punished by loving so much with this heartache that you have.
Right. Yeah. So that's what we. Okay. So now back to Dante. Right. As Dante gets older, he gets involved in politics. Remember, like his family is heavy into politics. He climbs the political ladder, and eventually he becomes a Florentine ambassador. Right. So he's moving up. He's moving up in the world. However, in 1302, there's a power shift leading to the rise of the Ghibellines.
Oh, no.
Right? I can't say that name without, But yeah, Dante is accused of financial corruption and political misconduct. He is exiled from Florence and sentenced to death if he ever returns. And he spends the rest of his life, the rest of his years traveling through various Italian cities, including Verona, Bologna, Ravenna, where he completes his masterpiece, The Divine Comedy, right? And scholars say that this journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven mirror his actual years wandering in exile.
Oh, wow. So he can't go to Florence anymore, which is, one of the great cities. But because of the way that Italy was at that time, they're all like mini city-states that are loosely connected to each other. So
right, yeah.
it'd be, of course, it's a tragedy for him. But
yeah.
It's like, oh, you must leave Cleveland. You can never come back. But you can go to Columbus and you can go to Pittsburgh.
And if I'm no geography teacher, but luckily, all the cities are just in a straight line down that boot, right? I'm right about that, right?
Sort of, yeah. Bologna is pretty close to Florence. I mean,
well, there you go, right? But again, it's this romantic idea, the wandering poet, the lost soul, right? Like, and as he's penning his epic work, right? I imagine by the end, like he's carrying a big old backpack of stuff. Like this is a long poem, folks.
Right.
And we haven't even. Oh my God, people are so angry at us right now. We haven't even started the freaking thing. Yeah,
but yeah, I checked. Like Bologna to Florence is about 75 miles.
Perfect. There you go. 75 miles, right?
He's like exiled.
Yeah. So that's the half of the first canto right there. But yeah, okay, speaking of which, right? So this brings us to our first canto. And yeah.
Oh, yay.
Yay. And yeah, folks, a canto is just a division or a section of a long narrative poem. So Dante is, by the way, Dante is both the author and the main character. Right? Like Solomon. And so the first canto starts out, so I, Dante, no, it doesn't do that. Actually, okay, God, people are so mad at us right now. I just want to say, folks, in preparation for recording this episode, I went out and I got myself my first Monster Energy drink in years.
Oh, no.
Yes, but yeah. So this episode may or may not, depending on, because I haven't tested this flavor, but I specifically got it. It is Ultimate Paradise by Monster, and I was like, I need this.
Lester, listen to yourself. I need it. It's for work. People want me to have it.
No, Keenan, we are going through hell, and I need Monster Energy drink Ultra Paradise to help me through. Okay.
Can't you start with this non-ultra, just regular Paradise?
No! I need more caffeine than that. Okay, but here you go, folks, right on the air. I am going to, look at that. I'm gonna do a little taste test. I've never tasted this flavor before, but we're gonna see. Okay, hang on. Disgusting.
Yeah, it smells disgusting from here.
Yeah. No, it's like it tastes green. There we go. There we go. That's what I'll say.
Okay, great.
It's not brought to you by Monster anyway. But yeah, okay. So,
but Monster, if you're listening, please call us. We'll plug your nasty ass shit. We'll plug your poison that makes health claims, right? Like, which is probably illegal. It's probably illegal the way you market yourselves, Monster. Give us some money.
Yeah,
and we'll
you have nothing to do with Satan or the Beast, but. But drinking this, it reminds me back in the good old days. This is just like the water of the river Styx. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, our first canto. So it starts out with Dante. Remember, he's the character being lost in a dark forest. Right. No explanation as to why he's here. There's no mention of a geographical location of this forest. It turns out this forest is allegorical, or I guess you could say it's allegorical. There we go. Yeah,
you're gonna lose us our Monster sponsorship. Not me libeling their brand. It's gonna be
right. Yeah. Okay. So the first canto starts midway through the journey of our life, right? So that's that iambic pentameter, right? So he is at the halfway point of his life. He is in the Middle Ages, and he is middle aged, right? Like this is his midlife crisis right here. Remember, he was just exiled, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing he's like 45, maybe 50, something like that.
It says here he's 35.
God damn it! All right, okay, whatever. I feel like I am in hell now.
Yeah, he's younger than us. Is the point.
Yes, that's what we're trying to say. Okay, so he's in this dark forest. And scholars say that this is meant to symbolize his mental, spiritual confusion and despair. So yeah, remember, he was like, in real life, he was exiled by this point, right? I'm 40 years old. I haven't been exiled from Florence. I haven't even become the ambassador yet.
There's a couple of Zaxby's chicken joints I can't go back to because I use them on road trips for pit stops in pretty messy ways.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, there you go. Right. And did you and your children and your children's children. But yeah, okay. So he's in this forest. He has wandered off the path, quote unquote, and he's trying to find his way back again. He comes to a clearing and he sees this mountain, and it's bathed in beautiful heavenly light, completely opposite of the dark forest that he has just emerged from. And he's like, "Oh, this is where I need to go." And so he starts up this mountain. And listeners, can you guess what happens next?
Sounds like he finds paradise, right?
No, he is blocked by a panther. Some translations say, but the same translation says it has many spots.
Right.
And I'm like, Dante, do you know what a panther is?
See, I was thinking about this. So it's a leopard or a panther.
It's definitely a leopard.
All right, so it's a
but
leopard,
he calls it a panther.
a lion, and a she-wolf, right?
Yes. So
and I was like, leopard, that seems really odd. So I did look, and leopards used to live in North Africa where lions used to live, and they used to live in the Holy Land. But nowadays they're just extinct there. So he would be aware of what a leopard is. But yeah, I can't justify him mislabeling a leopard a panther. But,
right, yeah.
I was like, how would he even know what a leopard is? But back in his day, I guess that was more visible.
I guess, yeah. But so apparently, he's blocked by three animals: a leopard, a lion, and a she-wolf, right? And these are supposed to symbolize lust, violence, and malice, respectively. And they chase him back down the mountain. And at the bottom, he now sees a figure that wasn't there before. Turns out this is none other than the renowned ancient Roman poet and writer of the Aeneid, Virgil, who just happens to be Dante's favorite writer of all time. I mean, he loves Virgil, right? Like, even in the story, the character of Dante can't stop, like, gushing once he finds out that this is Virgil, right? He's like, oh my God, Virgil! Yeah. And so Virgil is like, Beatrice has been watching over you, and she sent me to help you get back on the path of righteousness, right?
He's like, that's not creepy at all.
No, not at all, right? He doesn't judge. He's in hell, turns out. But we'll get to that. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so he said, like, to do that, you have to go through hell, purgatory, and heaven. So after a little hesitation, right? It's the resisting of the call, right? That whole thing, right? Dante eventually says, "Yeah, let's go," and that's Canto 1. Yay! So we got it. Okay, we're doing it, guys. We're doing it. We're gonna get through this thing, right? So Keenan, in this story that Dante is writing, that also stars him, he gets to go on a wild and crazy road trip through hell with his favorite celebrity,
right,
who was sent to help him by his boyhood crush.
Right.
If this were the Divine Comedy by Keenan Allighieri, who are you swapping Virgil out for?
Oh gosh. Okay, but it could be magical, right? It could be
yes.
So the idea is, like, it is our the writer that's the most important to us, etc.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Jeez. Well, I mean, I guess my favorite, the writer I admire the most then would be A.A. Milne, I would say.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the writer of the Pooh stories.
Oh, the Pooh stories. Okay,
yes.
We need a Pooh. All right.
Yeah, I love A.A. Milne. I think his stuff is just so how do you describe it? I didn't know I'd be talking about A.A. Milne today. But it's for children, but so deep and wise beyond the child's ability to see how deep and wise it is. And so it's like fun and beautiful and just lovely. And then when you read it again, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. This is deep, melancholy stuff.
Yeah, I see so many, like, on social media, like, they'll have, like, I guess it's like an anti-meme because it really makes you think. But it's like,
I don't want that. That's not what I go online for.
Jeez, what? Yeah, but no, it's like one of the original illustrations from one of the Pooh stories, and it's just a quote, like Piglet asks Pooh something or something like that, and Pooh says something like incredibly deep and profound, and you're like, wait a minute, like, Pooh is supposed to be like isn't he kind of like the not the simple character, but maybe like childlike,
for sure,
character. But like, he says these things that are so deep and so like these are words to live by right here. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to read you a poem.
Oh, okay.
Only has one canto.
Ooh, only one canto. Oh, God.
So this is Now We Are Six by A.A. Milne.
Okay.
When I was 1, I had just begun. When I was 2, I was nearly new. When I was 3, I was hardly me. When I was 4, I was not much more. When I was 5, I was just alive. But now I am 6. I'm as clever. So I think I'll be 6 now, forever and ever.
That is beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
It is.
And
that
it's like,
so
when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, they're just counting along and la 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 la.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you won't be 6 forever and ever.
Yeah.
You don't know. You have no idea.
Oh. Oh God, I love that.
Yeah.
Can we just? Okay, sorry, Mr. Alligator. Let's. We're gonna turn this car around. We're just gonna go right into AA Mail. No.
What about you?
For me, I think it would be Stephen King.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be running back down there, and Stephen King would be like, it's like, those, that leopard or that panther or that, whatever it is, and that she-wolf and that lion, they're pretty scary, but you know what would make them even scarier, right? And then he would just like name a whole bunch of things that make them not scary, but I would smile and I'd be like, I love you, Stephen King.
Right.
Sometimes you get a little, you get a little out there, but I'm just going to be like, yes, Stephen King, that's terrifying. Yes. And he was like, yeah, let's get in our car and, we'll head to hell. But yeah, it would be Stephen King for me. Yep.
Oh, great. All right.
Yeah,
So we
like,
got our little avatars of self-insert here. Great.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, in any case, our second canto begins with Dante doing the classic refusal of the call, like I said, right? Literary classic, folks. There's something Joseph Campbell says belongs in every epic adventure where, the hero has just been offered the chance to change, to go on an adventure, pretty much the exact thing they were asking for earlier. This is an answer to their prayers, and they're now presented with it, and they're like, oh, gee, I don't know if I'm up to it, right? And also, here Virgil has to reassure him, has to let him know that his quest is sanctioned by heaven itself, specifically by Beatrice, right? And the Virgin Mary.
Oh, okay. We're bringing her into this.
Right, yeah, right. She's up there reading, Dante's Divine Comedy. She's like, I don't remember doing any of this.
She's like, I don't think this is very funny.
And one of the men of the Bible has to mansplain. He's like, no, actually, comedy is. It's like, oh, geez, shut up. Yeah. But yeah. So Dante's mission is to confront the sins of humanity and learn valuable lessons from the souls he will encounter, right? And I don't know if this is meant to make Dante seem smaller or bigger. You know what I mean? Like, because on the one hand, Virgil is like, look, buddy, you don't really have a choice in this. Like, this quest is bigger than you. But then on the other hand, he's telling Dante that the Virgin Mary is up there. Like, let's everyone stop what they're doing up here because we got to get this guy Dante on his quest and learn lessons, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the Virgin Mary is like is moving pieces on the board here right now. All right. So actually, okay, Keenan, I'm seeing shades of Christmas Carol here. You notice? Like we got a spooky friend. He's come to show Dante the error of his ways.
Right.
Dante is going to go through essentially 3 major biomes and learn as he goes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What's up with that, Dickens?
Yeah, Dickens, come on.
We see you.
Yeah, we see you very well. But yeah, so the third canto begins at the gates of hell. Yay, we're here. Yeah. We didn't, it's like we didn't have to take any bathroom breaks or anything. Yeah. But yeah, so, and here we see an inscription on the gates, right? The last line of which is the famous, abandon all hope ye who enter here, right? I really love that. That's very catchy, right? It should also be noted that the sky is completely black and starless, right? So it's just black.
Like if you live in Vegas.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. All the light pollution. We don't need those because all the stars are on the ground. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I live down the street from that big sphere.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, you've seen pictures of that, I imagine.
I've seen pictures of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite something. The first time I turned onto my street and it was lit up, I went, oh God! I just stop in the middle of the street in my car like a moth.
Yeah. That seems to be Vegas's thing. Is like, how can we piss off airplanes? So you got the Luxor just shooting that thing up,
right?
Yeah. And now you got that, yeah. So no hope. Abandon all hope of ever seeing any natural light in the sky when you go to Vegas, folks.
That's Vegas, baby.
Yep. And we are, well, Keenan, you and I are Vegas babies.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So now, Dante, the author of this text, brilliant mind, ever observant, looks around this desolate wasteland and he says, I sense danger here. And Virgil is like, yeah, this is hell. And he leads Dante on. And all around them, Dante can hear sighs and cries of lamentation in 100 different languages rising up to the pitch black sky. And Dante, again, ever observant, ever inquisitive, asks Virgil, why is everyone screaming and wailing? And Virgil tells him that these are the souls who lived without infamy or praise, right? These are the souls of the cowardly and indecisive, those who took no stand for good or evil. Because they did not take a stand in life, they are now condemned to eternally pursue a banner that forever eludes them. So they're all in line, like chasing this this flag on a pole, this banner, right? Symbolizing their eternal aimlessness and lack of conviction, even as they themselves are chased by gadflies and hornets. For those who don't know, a gadfly is a type of fly that bites. Usually livestock. It's like bites cows and cattle and stuff like that. But yeah, so their faces are covered in blood, which mingles with their tears and falls to the earth, which is covered in maggots. Keenan, we're not even in hell yet.
Sounds like we are.
Yeah. Right, we're at the gates. Yeah. Now these souls are intermingled with the angels, who, in rebellion against God, didn't choose a side. So I guess that's like the third, right? Because like Lucifer fell with a third of the angels in heaven. So I guess the factions were pro-God, anti-God, and third party.
Right, the ones that didn't do anything either way.
Yeah. So
like a third party voter.
Exactly. Right. Not to get political. Right? Well, Dante was very political. You know?
Right. What did people wear back then, where they're stepping on, roads covered in maggots?
Well, I think in hell they're wearing nothing.
No shoes in hell?
No shoes.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, I think actually specifically, the poem says that they're completely naked.
Oh, really? Oh, so they're not wearing anything?
They're not wearing nothing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, except bug bites, which is the fashion of the antechamber of hell.
Okay, but Virgil and Dante get to wear some kind of. I just don't know if it's like sandals still at this point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we didn't even consider Virgil and Dante, right?
Yeah, what do they wear?
If you look in their like illustrations, usually like the most famous of which are by Gustave Doré. Actually, I don't know if you can even see their feet, but they're kind of like in their robes, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. So
because nice... drawn feet is hard, so we just didn't do it.
Just put robes on.
They're always covered with some tormented soul.
Yeah. But yeah, so okay. I forgot to mention. Wouldn't you know it? Dante recognizes some of the people chasing the banner, right? Particularly, he recognizes Pope Celestine V, who was elected Pope in July 1294 and abdicated 5 months later, which allowed Pope Boniface the 8th?
Yes.
I'm looking at this Roman numeral, folks. So Pope Boniface VIII, he was a bitter enemy of Dante. So the abdication of Pope Celestine V allowed for this other pope that Dante hated to come to power. So there we go. So this is Pope Celestine's punishment. He's outside of hell, chasing this banner, being stung by hornets and flies. Right?
Yeah. So this is like maybe not your boss at the Starbucks that you're bad at, but like the like regional manager who hired you and you never saw him again.
Yeah.
He put you there, so he gets to get punished somehow, but he's not like the one who's bothering you every day.
Right. Exactly. Right. So there we go, folks. This is the first one. Right. I hope everyone's keeping score at home of all the people that pissed off Dante. Yeah. Okay. So important question, Keenan. In your version of hell, right? That you're going through with A.A. Milne. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Who is this train of banner chasers being bit by flies? Like we won't name any names. Let's just generalize like people who blah blah blah.
Yeah, but this is they're not even in hell yet, right? This is sort of they're not in. Wait, hold on. I might be confused. They're not in limbo yet either. They're not
no.
circle.
Limbo is inside hell. Yeah.
Right. So
this is outside. This is. I think Dante calls it the anti-inferno. Right.
Okay.
Like the anti-climax. Yeah. They just get to the anti-inferno and it's like, this is the anti-inferno.
Right.
And Dante's like, oh.
Well, I understand people who call their pets their babies. But I don't like people who call themselves their pets' parents.
Oh,
so that's who I would put here. Like it's just annoying. Like, okay, you're not the worst, I guess. But you're not your cat's father. You stole your cat from its father and mother.
That is true.
And you kept it in your house for your own selfish purposes, even if you rescued it.
That is okay. I see. Now I'm coming around. I'm seeing where you're.
Let's
where
be
you're coming
honest
from.
here.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let's be honest in hell.
Yeah, even if you adopted this, you bought it.
Yeah,
because you wanted it.
Yeah,
and you were not its parent. You own it.
Keenan. Regular listeners of our show are going to remember that you have called yourself a cat daddy.
I'm a bad cat daddy, right?
You're a bad
compared
cat
to the other cat daddies. That's right.
The true cat daddy.
That's right. I'm fine. I could be in here.
Okay. Oh,
but
okay.
no, I do not say that I am my cat's
father.
Right.
You're your cat's Abba.
I own them.
Yes.
I bought them.
Wow. Okay, we're getting dark here.
Because I needed them, not because they needed me. I needed a cat.
There we go.
Get in here, get inside. You're never going out again. And I have my first cat. I have his receipt on my fridge.
Wow.
Well, it has his picture when he was in the shelter. You know, it's really cute. But yeah, there's also the receipt there. Yeah.
But yeah, anytime he makes a mess, he's gonna shake it in his face. You see this? Your property.
Yeah, you see what this says? Of course you don't, because you're a cat.
Okay, well, in Keenan's Inferno, it's a pet parents, folks.
That's right.
That's what you're doing. You're in the anti-Inferno. You're being bit by. Oh yeah, what's happening to them?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, their bosses are calling them their parents.
Oh, wow.
So their managers at work are like, "This is my little baby, and this I'm their dad, and we're a family."
Oh wow! Ooh. Now I get it. Okay. Yeah. I have a premonition that corporate America is gonna feature prominently in both of our hells. This is the workplace. Yeah.
All right.
But for me, it's people who stop in the middle of the walkway or an aisle. You know, like they're just like oblivious to pedestrian traffic, right? And they get a notification on their phone or whatever, and they just stop. So you gotta stop, or you're gonna bump into them, right? So now your punishment is you can't stop. You got to be chased by hornets and flies. No time to look at your phone.
Right.
Yeah, so that's that.
And people are calling them out because no one calls them out in real life.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because if they stop, you either bump into them and then it's your fault, or you get close enough and it's your fault. But now people are like, that is your fault.
Yes,
you were the one on your phone.
Yeah. Okay, but so beyond this, Dante sees the bank of a river, and he's like, "Master," because he calls Virgil Master, right? He's like, "Master, what's that?" And Virgil is very patient with him. He's like, "We're walking there now. You're going to see in a minute." And Dante actually feels ashamed, so he's like quiet for the rest of the way.
Oh, okay.
Like until they get there. Like,
oh, really?
It's very short, and then he starts yapping again. But the way he says it in the poem, it is like, and then I was quiet for the rest of the journey. No, you weren't, Dante. You were like for 5 seconds, right? But yeah.
But when you're stepping on maggots in your little sandals, it feels like a very long time.
It feels like it. Do they? I'm guessing one of those maggots like hitched a ride on his sandals, and now they're in like another circle of hell, right?
He's like, I'm moving up.
Yep. But yeah, so that's something I want to touch on here because sometimes Dante puffs himself up,
right?
Like we're gonna see in a little bit here, folks. But like other people giving him like all these compliments. It's like, oh, you're so smart, Dante. You're such a great writer and a poet, and you're so handsome. And,
right.
Like we get plenty of that, right? But sometimes Dante will also write himself as childlike or ignorant or even cowardly, and Virgil has to reprimand him. This is fascinating. Pay close attention to how Dante thinks of himself in this, right? Yeah. So they get to the river, and it turns out it's the river Acheron from Greek mythology.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on.
Yep.
Greek mythology.
Yep. He lived
in the middle of Italy, or wherever we are.
In hell.
Italy.
Yeah, this is Dante's Inferno, and he just lifted Acheron straight from the Greek description of Hades, and he plopped it down in front of hell. Right? So get used to this, folks. Like, we're going to see a lot of stuff like that, right?
So where do plagiarists belong in these circles?
You know what? There's strangely, there's no circle for plagiarists in hell. It's just it's mysteriously absent from Dante's version of hell. But yeah, so speaking of which, you can't have Acheron, right, without its famous ferryman. Charon, right? So yeah, he's here too, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah, and he has a whole shtick, right? Like, see, I told you, like he's been doing this forever, right? So by now he's got the whole bit, right? He's greeting everyone, and he's like, give up all hope of ever seeing heaven, yada yada yada, right?
Right. He's a scare actor.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And then he sees Dante, and he's like, wait, you sir are alive. I cannot let you on this boat. Do you have any idea how awkward that's going to be for everybody else? Right? And Virgil's like, hold your anger, Karen. No, sorry, Charon, right? But he says this journey is sanctioned by heaven. But Karen is pitching a fit. He's like, no, I don't believe that, right? Go ahead, go call God. I don't care. I'll call him too. And then he takes out his phone and he's pretending to call, but really he's just continuing to yell and he's making less and less of a sense, but it's getting louder and more angry for some reason, but Virgil is just talking calmly and that makes Karen even angrier. And you can see all the people on the boat, their faces, it's like in their hands and they're like, well, we're in public now. Why?
What are you doing here?
Meanwhile, Dante has taken out his phone and he's like stealthily recording and Karen spots that and oh, damn, right? That's when things get really mad, right?
No, you stop recording me.
Yes.
I record you.
Yeah. But no, none of that is true. I apologize. I could not pass up this low-hanging fruit, the fact that Charon sounds like Karen, right? Charon is not a Karen.
Right.
He's a scare actor, like we've established. Right. But yeah, so Dante notices that now all the other people are angry that Dante and Virgil are allowed to cross. Right? Like he gets the impression that they're all like clamoring to get on the boat. And he asks Virgil about this. And Virgil explains that, again, because their fate is ordained by God, all these souls on some level have a desire to fulfill their destiny and travel to hell.
Okay, right.
So I guess that kind of answers my question from before. Remember we were talking about like what happens in Hades if you don't have the money to cross the river, right? And you don't get to go to Hades. And I was like, you mean there's like a loophole I can exploit? Like I don't have to go to Hades?
Right.
But I guess everyone wants to go to hell in Dante's version, right?
And they can't help it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's their desire, it's like moths to a flame, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, so this canto ends with an earthquake and a blast of wind and Dante fainting.
Mm-hmm. So an earthquake and a storm, like when you were recording that day of the tropical storm, there was an earthquake.
Exactly, right?
You were in hell.
Yes, and you didn't notice my fainting because I edited that out. Yeah. But yeah, at this point, I want to bring up some themes that we are going to see in this epic poem, right? Certainly, we can already see themes of divine justice, the punishment suiting the crime. We can see...
I found the term for that, which is contrapasso.
Yes, it is. It's contrapasso.
I love that. Yeah, because we've already talked in the show. We're like, what's that called? Or, but that's great. I love that stuff.
Yes, yeah. So, and it's even saying it just makes me hungry.
Contrapasso.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, certainly we can see themes of that. We can see this journey as one of personal growth, a trial by fire, passing through the flames. We've already gotten a bit of religious, political commentary, but I think one of the most prevalent, recurring themes, one that gets overlooked, is Dante fainting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy conks out of so many cantos. And every time I just imagine the people around him looking at each other like, and then they look at Virgil and he's like, yeah. And Virgil is always sticking up for Dante, right? Like everyone else is like, you don't belong here. You can't get in this boat, right? You're not supposed to be in hell. And Virgil's like, no, he's cool. He's supposed to be here. He's the main character. Heaven himself has ordained that he make this perilous journey, right, Dante? And he turns and Dante's on the fucking ground.
Yeah, and they must hate that. They're like, hey, live boy, you're so alive.
You bag of blood and bones.
Yeah, breathing with his lungs.
Yeah. Right, but deep down, Keenan, they're actually There's like, I wish I could breathe with my lungs.
I had electrical activity going through my brain.
Yeah, I'm just a lost soul. Right, but they can't show that, right? No, they got to put up a tough front, right? They're in hell, right?
I'm bad.
They're metal. Yeah, yeah. Okay, but yeah, so then we get Canto 4. Dante wakes up. So he finds himself at the edge of a deep, dark valley. And we are to understand that they have crossed the river and are now on the other side. Meaning that someone had to lug Dante's body onto that boat, right? Charon and the other passengers already didn't want him on board, right? And Dante's like one of those guys who sleeps all spread out, like he's taken up as much space as possible, right? Do you think he sleep talks?
Oh yeah,
he's like Beatrice, right?
He's like Beatrice, I found you. Yeah. Dante, I've been waiting for you. I just married that other guy because
he does both voices.
Yes. Oh, right. Beatrice, no, I would never get in the middle of you and your husband in holy matrimony. Oh, Dante, but I wish you would.
But yeah, and I'm also thinking he sleep kicks.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, right. Like his leg just like spasms. He's like, eh, right, and he kicks someone on the boat, right, and everyone is shooting dirty looks at Virgil, right? But Virgil is just focusing really hard on the plank by his feet in that way where it's like you're pretending not to notice something, right? But it just makes it all the more obvious that you know what's going on, right? And then on the other side, they just drop him on the sand, right? And everyone's deboarding, and they're passing Virgil, and he's like, I'm sorry. because he lives here. He lives with them,
he's
right?
Dead.
Yeah, and he has gone from being Virgil, the writer of the Aeneid, to the person on the long flight with a baby. Right. I will say they shouldn't have gotten mad when Virgil had started breastfeeding Dante. Right. That's on them. That's normal.
That's
right?
healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
maybe Dante fainted because he was malnourished. Okay. You know, the boat trip was one of those trips where it's like it's just short enough where they don't legally have to give you a meal,
right?
But it's just long enough to where like you notice that you're not getting a meal.
I think also while Dante's sleeping, he's that kind of person who like grabs onto something and makes a blanket out of it, and like in my version, like Charon has like that Grim Reaper's robe,
right?
And so Dante is just gradually peeling it off of Charon and making it more of a blanket. And Charon's Charon starts with like holding back and resisting, and then eventually he's just like, oh, God, just take it, take the whole thing.
Right. He's just completely swaddled in the So that means when they get to the other river, he just rolls him out. And he's like,
right, exactly,
onto the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, anyway, we're talking about Canto 4, right? So he wakes up to the sound of thunder and wailing, right? We finally made it, folks. We are in the first circle of hell, known as Limbo.
Yay!
No. This is the less fun Limbo. The one where you go if you're a good person but you're not baptized.
Yeah, but you're still in hell.
Yeah, you're still in hell, right? But yeah, so Dante notices that Virgil is hesitant to go on, and this is strange because usually he's very stoic, right? And he asks Virgil about this, and he says he's not afraid; he's just really sad. This is the circle where he resides. This is where all his friends are as well,
right?
But yeah, so they begin to descend into this valley, and all the while they're hearing this sad, sorrowful sighing all around them. The valley is filled with it, and Dante, and Virgil explains that these are the souls of the people who have not sinned, but they lived before Christianity or outside of Christianity or were not baptized, and so now they are forever separated from God down here, right? And forever filled with longing for God's light. But they are relatively comfortable, right? They're not in pain or torture. They're just there, right?
So these are pre-Christians, a lot of them, right?
Yes, right. In fact, a bunch of scholars refer to this part of the poem as this is the scene with the noble pagans.
Noble pagans. That's patronizing, but sure.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But yeah, so now Virgil goes on to say that Jesus did come down one day way back in the day, and he picked up all the Old Testament crew, right? So he got Adam and Noah and Moses and Abraham and Rachel and all those guys, right?
And then, yeah, what strikes me as a sort of recurring theme is that he breaks up bands, right? So it's like he says like Jesus came down to get Adam. There's someone suspiciously absent from that sentence, I would say.
Oh, you mean like oh. Eve.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Whoa.
Right. So he's going to do that a couple of times where it's like half of a duo. And so he seems to be making a decision that like, no. This one is the bad one. She stays down there.
That's weird because like he specifically mentions Rachel, right?
So it's not just a woman thing potentially, or maybe it's just like, oh, okay, Rachel, I know the least about her, so I'll. Right, but he leaves Eve down there. But he's going to do that a couple times where it's some people are in hell who are you just say it like like Ben and Jerry. If Ben were in hell in the ninth circle of hell, you'd want to know
this
why.
Is the ice cream hell. Ben and Jerry. Yeah. Wow. Dang. Okay. Well, Jeez, Dante. I was almost mad at Virgil, but then I was like, wait a minute, Dante's writing this.
That's right.
But yeah, okay. So Dante and Virgil are walking along, and up comes Homer, Horace, Ovid, and Lucan. All of these famous Greek and Roman poets that Dante idolizes as well, right? They come up to meet them, and they welcome Virgil back home, right? And they greet him with much honor. And then upon seeing Dante, and Dante swears this really did happen, right? They immediately recognize him and welcome him into their group. They're like, oh my God, Dante's here. You're one of us, buddy. You're such an awesome writer. You're so brilliant. I love this part. I can't even roll my eyes at this because it's so obvious what he's doing. But it's also like this is his fantasy. Like he gets to meet his heroes and they affirm that he is one of them, right? Everyone laughs at Dante for this part, but come on, like who wouldn't want this, right? You get to meet all your heroes and hang out with them in their cool pad and philosophize and maybe play a little Xbox. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, but in your Stephen King guided one, Stephen King doesn't let you talk and he's not particularly interested in what you have to say, and you're not allowed to change the radio in the van.
Yeah, it's all songs from his band, the Rock Bottom Remainders. That's what you listen to. Right. But yeah, so Dante's with all these noted writers, these poets, right? And so they all go deeper into the valley, right? They go back to this castle that's encircled by 7 walls, which is where all the great thinkers hang out, right? And they pass through 7 portals and they enter into a great meadow where Dante sees all these other great figures of history, these philosophers, these mathematicians, these scientists, these heroes. He meets Aristotle, he sees Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. He sees Electra and Hector and Aeneas, right? He sees Caesar, he's there too, right? And it's really convenient that all of them are like dressed exactly like in their portraits, right? That really helps, right? Like Caesar's in full, I'm not joking, Caesar is in full armor, right? That's actually in the text. But I was wondering about that. Like, there's no name tags, right? And he sees these people from a distance, so they must look exactly like their depictions on Earth, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which then makes me wonder, so remember, Jesus came down to get all the Old Testament guys. So he must have went to David. And he was like, David, we're all going to heaven. Do you have any clothes at all? And David's standing in that way, he does. He's all sassy. He's like, oh, is there a dress code in heaven? And Jesus is like, no, there's no dress code in heaven. He's doing that thing like where you're frustrated, you pinch the bridge of your nose, right? Like a mini face palm. He's like, no, there's no dress code in heaven. But you have to wear something. You're making everyone uncomfortable, right? And all the others, all the other noble pagans are like, oh, you can try, Jesus. Every time we try to get pants on him, he just takes them off. He's just running through limbo, and we're like, there goes no pants, David, right? And Jesus is like, fine, come on, let's go. And Adam and Eve are looking at him as like, this is really unfair.
No, Eve is down in the pits of hell.
That's right. Yeah, Eve is not there. I forgot.
But David is like, David lived to be an old man, and then it's like, oh, like I'm stuck in hell forever as this picture of my statues when I'm a kid.
Yes. And he's alabaster white,
right, exactly.
He's got no hue to him at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And depending what statue it is, he's got, kind of a little peepee or not. Right? Depends. Depends on who's sculpting him.
Keenan, this is a podcast about culture, okay?
Oh, you never noticed the peepees on these David statues? You just never looked at that?
No, I just my eyes were never drawn down. No.
Right.
No, of course, that's the only thing that anybody ever notices.
Right, so it matters who's sculpting me, I would say.
Yes. But so yeah, folks, that's Canto 4. Not that bit. That was a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, but then somebody else he sees in there is Saladin, who is a Muslim. Yeah. So that's really interesting. He's open to the idea that that Muslims are in the first circle of hell. As I say it that way, I'm like. You're trying to save Dante, and you're like, no. Because later on, there's heretics, and so Saladin
we're gonna get to that.
Saladin is not a heretic just for being a Muslim. So
no. But I think there's a specific part of that circle that I'm even afraid to talk about. We'll get to that. Yeah. Jesus, Dante. But yeah, so that's Canto. That's Canto 4. So Canto 5 opens up, and Dante and Virgil find themselves in the second circle of hell. I forgot. Like, how do they leave Canto? Okay, yeah. So at the end of Canto 4, Virgil and Dante, they separate from the rest of the group, and they walk off into the darkness. It's literally like they go off stage left and the lights go down. Right, that's what happens. Right? So Canto 5 opens up, and Dante and Virgil find themselves in the second circle of hell, where they meet none other than King Minos from Greek mythology.
Hey, Greek mythology.
Yes.
King Minos.
Remember, folks, according to the ancient Greeks, he's supposed to be one of the 3 judges who decides your fate in Hades. We actually talked about him earlier in our History of the Devil, right? When we talked about Hades. In Dante's version of hell, he is still a judge, but now it's just him by himself. There were some cutbacks in his department. He's now doing the work of 3 people, although he's still getting paid the same amount as before. That is to say, 0. But yeah, he's also a big ugly monster in Dante's version, right? He has this huge tail that wraps around himself in accordance to the circle that he condemns a soul to. So like if somebody's going to the 3rd circle of hell, he wraps his tail around himself 3 times, right? So just like everyone else so far, as soon as he sees Dante, he's like, oh no, you're not coming in here, right? You get out of here. And once again, Virgil has to be like, no. His journey was ordained by God, so Minos lets them pass, right? This
works for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to a point where that doesn't work. But yeah, this is Keenan. This is the trainee who's talking, who's taken your job. And he's being shown around the office, right? And it's like, and this is King Minos, and he judges the damned according to their sins. And Dante reaches out to shake his hand, and Virgil's like, no, I wouldn't spend time getting to know him. Bye, Minos, keep up the good work, right? And he just hears as they're leaving, it's like, yeah, so you're going to be given a tail. Do you know how to operate a tail, right?
So I was looking up Minos because we saw him here, and on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, he's in there. And well, everyone's there. It's like everyone's there.
Oh, okay.
So he's up there, and he's not quite he's sort of in between the Dante version. He's sort of monstrous, but he's also a dude, and he's got like devil ears, like bat ears, and he's surrounded by a snake. And then it's unclear whether it's the same snake or a different snake that is biting his dong.
Oh, and we're sure it's not his tail wrapped around him or anything like that.
I'll send you this.
Okay, all right. This is some NSFW stuff from the Sistine Chapel, folks.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. Yeah, that's
No, that's not a tail.
That's definitely a snake.
That's definitely a
and
snake.
It's definitely biting his dong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, there we go.
So there you go.
So now that's in my head, forever.
Yeah. So there's maggots on the floor and we don't have shoes.
I wish I worked in hell, then I wouldn't be tortured so much. And Minos is like, there is a snake eternally biting my dick. Eternally, yeah. But okay, so we are now in the 2nd circle of hell proper, right?
Right.
This is so after he passes Minos, right?
Right.
So this is speaking of dongs. The circle.
When are we not speaking of dogs?
When are we not?
Right.
Minute? Yeah. This is the circle of lust.
Right.
So finally, we have a circle that is attributed to a specific sin. Right. This circle is characterized by a violent and eternal storm, symbolizing the tumultuous nature of passion and lust. The souls of the lustful are carried by the winds, symbolizing their inability to find rest due to their sinful desires. But Keenan, I got a problem with this circle. Can you guess what it is?
That lust is pretty awesome.
Well, no. That is, we are in agreement with this. It is pretty fucking awesome. But
so I don't know. Yeah.
So, like every circle, Dante recognizes some people trapped here, and in this circle, almost all the sinners he recognizes are women.
Oh yes, they sure are.
So let me go through the list here. So we got Dido, Queen of Carthage, Helen of Troy. Semiramis, this is a mythical figure, daughter of an Assyrian god who married an Assyrian king and then ruled as a queen after she died.
Right.
And Cleopatra. Right. There's some guys in here too, but like the circle is 99% women, right? This is that old thing where like they believed women were more sinful, specifically they were more lustful than men, which is only because the only thing these gross old men think about when they think of women at all is having sex with them.
Right.
And so they're like, wow, the only thing I associate with you is being horny. That must mean you're super horny all the time.
But also, yeah. So part of it is like, the things that we have assigned women to do in our society, like cooking and teaching and nursing and cleaning, like those things I don't even think about as actions. And then the other things that we think about as being actions, like reading and writing and creating and leading, like we don't allow you to do those. So what's left over is, horned up all the time.
Yep. Yeah. So So yeah, honestly, this took me out of it. Like I was having a good time in hell, and then we get to the circle of lust, and I'm like, okay, so this is how we're gonna do things, Dante.
Okay, so we have Helen of Troy, and then also her lover Paris is in here, so that makes sense. So he keeps that band together.
Yep.
But Tristan is in here, but not Isolde, his lover. So I don't know. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, he is constantly breaking up the band.
Yeah, what does that mean, Dante?
Right. Are we? We're saying Dante is breaking up the band, not Virgil, right? I keep on because
Virgil's not real,
right? Well, no, he is real, but this Virgil isn't real. But I keep on getting mad at Virgil for not including people. No. But I'm like, wait a minute, no, this is Dante. But he just does such a good job of looking so dopey and innocent. He's like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, so everyone's just flying every which way in this circle, right? Like hurled by the winds.
Right.
But Dante notices two souls intertwined, right? No matter how hard the wind blows or where it blows them, they stay together, right? Mm-hmm. And he asks to speak with them, and Virgil says, like, wait until they fly over here, right? And eventually they do. And
yeah, there's no circle of sloth in this hell. Virgil takes that with them. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll be here for a while. There's no there's no time limit or anything.
And thankfully, Dante didn't, include the hours that they waited for this. For this couple, like leaves in a wind to blow their way. It's just like, they're coming up. Oh, no. It's like, they're stuck on a crag over there. It's like, and Dante's like, should we go? No. It's,
And sometimes they're like waving, but they're waving to the guy behind Dante. Like, oh no. Now I just embarrassed myself.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, no. Right. Yeah. And you just hear it's like, I'll be with you in a minute. But I just really want to ask you. Hey, Francesca, this guy looks alive. No, it's okay. It's ordained by God. And they just have to explain the whole thing, but they're just
like, for eternity.
Yes. And because this is hell, they still have the capacity to get sick.
Right.
So everyone's just going, blah!
Yeah, being thrown around by the wind, you mean? They're all seasick all the time.
Yeah. Wind sick. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But okay, but yeah, so everyone's flying around. And so eventually this couple, they kind of like float Dante's way. And this is Francesca and Paolo. And they tell their sad story of their forbidden affair and how they were killed by Francesca's husband, who resides in a lower circle of hell. And these guys were actually based on real people. That is Paolo Malatesta and Francesca de Rimini. They were both from noble families in Italy during the 13th century. Francesca was married to Gianciotto Malatesta, or Malatesta, who was Paolo's older brother.
Oh, it's so up or down there.
Yes. But Francesca and Paolo fell in love with each other. They had an affair, and Gianciotto killed them in a fit of rage. So that's what they mean when they say he's in a lower circle of hell, right?
Okay, because he's got rage.
Yeah, I'm guessing wrath or rage, right? We never meet him, spoilers, but yeah. But no, so this story, the story of Francesca and Paolo, according to scholars, is like proto-Romeo and Juliet, apparently. Yeah. So looking at Dickens, looking at Shakespeare, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, they saw that there was no plagiarism circle, and they're like, well.
Yeah, they were, good.
Yeah, they didn't follow our heed, and they do all of their they get all of their information about hell from this book, this fanfiction book.
Yeah. So upon hearing the story of Francesca and Paolo, Dante is so overcome with pity for them that he faints. And again, I just imagine, right? You got Francesca, you got Paolo there, and they look at Virgil, and he's just like, yeah. But you can't hear that because of the wind blowing, right?
That's right. So it's more like this.
And all the others are like, hey, is that guy okay? Looks like I got fainting.
No, that's just how he is.
Yeah. Trust me, he's the main character. Okay, but yeah, all right. Let's give Dante some air. Let's lighten things up before we leave the second circle. We got to talk about our second circles of hell. Right. So who's in there, and how are they being punished?
So about lust, eh?
Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily have to be love. It could be like, you could link it to the wind, or you could link it to lust. You could do whatever you want.
Let's have you go first while I think about this, actually.
Okay. So I'm gonna flip the script here,
Okay.
Dante, Mr. Alighieri, right? And I'm gonna say the second circle is reserved. You got so many women in your circle, Dante. I'm gonna say the second circle is reserved for mansplainers. And they're all being blown around by winds, but it's actually hot air.
That's very funny.
Right? Get it? Because hot air is, oh my God, I'm doing it now.
Right, straight to hell. The second circle with you.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so that's mine. Is second circle of hell is mansplainers.
All right, yeah. So I guess in mine, I would, I really am rankled by people who shame other people for having sex or thinking about sex, and I think it's usually, I see it's really hypocritical. So I guess the heart of it is hypocrisy, but especially when men do that to women, right?
Yes.
Like they shame women for doing the exact same thing that they would do. So I know that sounds very like white knighty, like mansplaining on a podcast, but no, in my personal life, it really bothers me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Dante would be down here.
Oh, Dante's the leader of this.
Nice, I like it. How's he getting punished?
Oh,
and all other shamers.
Oh, I guess this is pretty. But see, I don't like punishing these people because I'd be like, what would be the contrapasso, right? Like the ironic thing would be that they would be shamed for their own fetishes. Like, oh, that's not very nice.
And they might actually like.
Oh,
that, so,
I see.
Maybe shaming is their kink. So
right, yeah. Oh, so maybe instead of because I don't want the shaming. Maybe they are constantly being teased with their like with their kink. So their kink is like held up on one of those carrot sticks you put in front of a mule.
Oh, I see.
So right? They're like walking.
And it's like almost
there. Seven paces ahead of me is my favorite thing. My favorite lustful kink.
Oh wow, that is Tantalus. That is like, oh God.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
That's that's
there. I think.
But I mean, I think there's people who would like that actually too. I think we can't get away from it.
Well, there's the old joke about the sadist and the masochist, right? And so the masochist says to the sadist, "Hit me," and the sadist says, "No."
Ooh. That took me a minute. Wow. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks like Dante is still asleep.
Oh, he's had a long day. Let's let him sleep.
All right, little guy. Okay, so we will pick back up with Canto 6, Circle 3 in our next episode. For now, that is all of my notes. All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Keenan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5 pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!
Mwah.